Bienvenidos a este nuevo episodio de Behind the Code. Hoy tengo el placer de que comparta conmigo en este episodio Scott LaPointe, quien es mi socio fundador de PRIZM, que es una empresa que provee una solución SaaS para el mercado de warehouse en Estados Unidos, para bodegas, enfocado en clientes de distribución y clientes de manufactura. Así que va a ser un poquito un challenge porque bueno, vamos a tratar de llevarlo lo mejor posible hablando en inglés. Así que les pido un poco de paciencia. Así que, hey Scott, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. So it's great to have the opportunity to spend time here in Argentina.
Same.
Scott está basado en Puerto Rico. Entonces siempre tenemos un ida y vuelta entre la isla y nosotros. So we're going to start, Scott. I would like to make a few questions.
Absolutely.
And explore and understand a little bit the story. So I would like to know if you can tell us a little bit about your background, your expertise, how you started in this warehousing business, and so on.
Yep. Well, I'm going to bring you way back to the beginning. But basically how I got into warehousing was literally, I was a freshman in college, and they had a co-op program, and the co-op company that I was working for was a grocery store company, which when I was 16, I actually was working stocking shelves. So I thought it'd be interesting to see the behind the scenes of the grocery store. And I started working on building their first radio frequency handheld applications in the warehouse. So I'm in the warehouse at night walking around, and I thought it was really cool, and I learned a lot from that. So that's how I kind of started off learning about distribution in the grocery industry. And then from there, I just continued to move from company to company, and most of the time was they needed distribution help, so I just kept increasing my skills, and I got to a point where I decided to be a consultant, and the company needed a new WMS, and it was a third-party logistics company, which means they have a warehouse and they distribute product for other people. So every time a new customer came, they always needed to say, well, you need a WMS system, a warehouse system for us to operate, and so they felt that it would be better if they had their own. So I just said, well, yeah, I'll start building one. I have 15 years experience in that industry. So I started building back in 2001 is when I first started building PRIZM WMS.
That was the first baby?
Yep, the first iteration. It was a Windows-based program running on Microsoft SQL Server using Delphi code.
That's awesome.
ASP.NET hadn't come out yet. It came out the next year after. So that was the first nice visual tool that was out there. And that was in 2001. We finished it then, and I've been maturing it since. And then that's when we met you guys a few years ago, and we decided to convert that into a web-based application.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So you started from young kid, started in the warehouse and logistics?
Yeah, I was 18 years old, literally walking around at night programming computers on a forklift.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, well, it's important because you have a strong experience, and you have been dealing with a lot of pains, and that is what companies usually looking for, because expertise is what makes they grow and scale. So that's great.
And I got an opportunity to work in wholesale and in retail.
Right.
So direct-to-consumer shipping, as well as department stores or grocery expiring products. So I was able to move from different industries and kind of cut my teeth on different aspects of the distribution world. So I was able to take all that knowledge from the different companies and combine it together to make a really strong system.
Yes, and something that I think is important to mention, maybe when people who live down here in this part of the world, we are not aware about the amount of shippings that the U.S. country process every day. So a warehouse, it's a critical, the operation of the warehouse is critical for the company, because if you don't ship, you're not gonna invoice anyone, and you're not gonna be paid.
Yeah, I always say, that's what I say too. If the product isn't going out the door, you ain't getting paid. So yeah.
Exactly. Because so you can maybe be, your company could be running the best e-commerce solution and have a lot of orders done, confirmed by the customers and paid, but if you don't ship, so you are in a.
That's so funny you say that. And I was working for a company, Lids. Lids is a store in the U.S. that has like 385 stores in the malls that sell hats. And this was back in '99, and we wanted to build e-commerce at the time. And at the time, e-commerce was exploding. Everybody and their brother had a product, right, to sell, to build a website. So we had this product that we bought. It was like $600,000 to help build the website. But we still had to build the website. But after we're building the front end, I'm like, okay, we're placing orders. Now how can I fulfill those orders? And they go, what? You just click the button there. I'm like, no, I need to take the order, feed it into another system to pick, pack, and ship it. And they're like, they didn't have any clue about that. They were all rushing to build just websites, but they didn't understand you can take an order, but can you ship an order?
Yes, yes. And something that sometimes I heard from the customer is also in the US, people go crazy with the one-day shipping.
Oh.
So everyone wants one-day shipping,
Yeah.
or next day max. So everything should be like a song. Every piece should work.
Yeah, internet shopping in the U.S. is growing exponentially. The malls are dying in the U.S. because people would rather buy online, and they expect that if they place the order today, that they're going to see a tracking number either today or tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's the expectation of the customer in the U.S.
Yeah.
Which is important to understand, because it's not the same situation down here, because maybe the geography, the distribution tools, and companies are. So we are always trying to replicate what happened in the U.S. here in Argentina with local vendors, but I think it's one of the countries that is in a bad position.
In the U.S., you have literally 3 competing companies to bring product from a warehouse to someone's house. You got UPS, FedEx, and the United States Postal Service. So you got competitive pricing to get direct to consumer, where some countries don't have that infrastructure set up. Even their postal system can't deliver packages efficiently.
Yes. Even in Puerto Rico, every time that I land in Puerto Rico, I can see through the window in the plane that it's plenty of.
You see FedEx windows. You see UPS planes.
I think are more logistic and distribution planes that regular regular ones. So it's crazy. Okay, let's move forward for the next section and talk a little bit. What is PRIZM WMS?
Yeah. Basically, to summarize it, it's a web-based warehouse management system which controls all aspects of a distribution center. Allows to track inbound shipments, receive them, put them away, inventory that to make sure everything's in the right place, and then be able to pick, pack, and ship orders. But one of the things that sets us apart from some of the smaller WMSs is that we allow to be able to create custom labels, custom packing lists, custom reports. The key is in the data, and so being able to have the customer be able to configure the system to meet their needs, because not all warehouses are built the same. Different product stores differently, so we need to have our system be very configurable to allow to handle small product, bigger product, a warehouse that may have some small product with bigger product, but they can't be picked together. Little challenges like that we try to cover with our WMS. A big thing in the U.S. as well, and some countries getting bigger, is EDI, which means electronic data interchange, which allows you to communicate between 2 parties information. But with that, there's labeling compliance and reporting compliance as well. So our system can handle the EDI compliance, so to ship products to another customer and then be able to send what's called advanced ship notification data. That's really important in the U.S., and other countries are starting to really pick that up as well, to be able to automate the transfer of data. But with that, you need to make sure you print the right barcodes, the right format, so that the data can then be pulled from the other customer. So those are the things that a warehouse management system does. But other important things as well is labor standards, labor statistics, being to understand how well people are performing. So with our WMS, everything is using a mobile app as well. So you have a desktop app and a mobile app on the warehouse management system. And the mobile app allows the operators in the warehouse to have the information at their hands. And so it's the system's telling them where to go. They're confirming they're at the right place. The system's telling them what to do. And every time they're doing it, we're recording that. So we can also tell how long different tasks take so that we can help customers identify maybe employees that need some more training or areas that maybe there's a bottleneck. So it's kind of multiple layer. You know, a good warehouse management system covers obviously your inventory and the movement of inventory, but it also makes sure it's accurate inventory, but also it's building labor standards, labor statistics to help customers get the most out of their warehousing staff.
Okay, that's great. And also, even regarding the inventory, something that it's for me was crazy, that obviously that kind of warehouses, you can't stop the warehousing because it's a hot operation. So the way that we do the inventory in terms to understand how many items we have in the inventory in the warehouse, it's a specific feature, right? Yeah,
that's a good point you bring up. There's two types of way to control your inventory. Well, actually three. Let's talk about three different ways. A physical inventory means that you shut the building down. No inbound receiving, no outbound shipping. You need to lock the building down and take a snapshot of your inventory, and then they count it. Right? And then you apply that inventory, and that's your new inventory. But that's shutting the building down. And sometimes it takes 4 days to do that. And if you're in e-com world, you can't shut your warehouse down for 4 days. Then you're backed up for 4 days, and it takes 2 weeks to get caught up. But sometimes accounting requires that, or maybe sometimes you got to do it every couple of years. Banks may require to get an accurate inventory snapshot. Then we have what we call cycle count. Cycle counting allows you to count as you go. The building can operate as is, everything goes, but with the cycle count, you can count smaller areas at a time, and the system keeps track of what's been counted when. So say you have an objective to count the entire building twice a year. Well, we can say, well, give me random locations that I haven't counted since the beginning of the year, and then when you get to the middle of the year, you can then say, give me locations that I haven't counted since the middle of the year, so you can recount the same locations, but you only count them once in 6 months. So that allows you to go and count every location. So, and we have a date on the location when the last time it was counted, so we can age it and know if locations are being counted in an accurate manner, a timely manner. And what a cycle count does is when the operator walks up to the location and he scans that location, it now snapshots that location at that point in time.
That's great.
And then he counts that, and then what happens is we keep track of what the snapshot was and the count was. But we're not overlaying it, because sometimes you want to have a supervisor double check it. So, but at that point in time, we know what the snapshot was and the count was at that time. But if someone comes later and picks, it's okay because we've captured the variance. And then the last way that you can adjust inventory is, say you have some damaged product or some product that was relocated, found or lost. You can just do individual adjustments of inventory. But the key is always keeping accurate inventory. If you don't know what's in your warehouse, you're losing sales, right? So having an accurate picture of what's in your warehouse allows you to accurately sell everything you have. You won't.
Yeah, and also if you are having any issue in the warehouse regarding the real stocks, it's good to know.
Yeah.
So right. So for instance, if the manager change, probably the new manager wants to understand how many items are in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Since the day he started working. Right?
Yeah, the key is not only what's in the warehouse, but where exactly in the warehouse it is. Because if it takes you too long to find that product, you're losing money.
Yeah, you can
everything is about
walking around the warehouse. Where is the product?
Because the cost of a product is not only the cost of the actual product, but also the handling of that product. So I always say that there's always money to be saved in the supply chain. You always find people losing money in the supply chain, and it's usually by labor, by taking too long to pick an order, or picking an order and by shipping the wrong product by mistake. And now the customer needs to ship that back, and you need to ship the right product, so you've lost money there. So investing in a WMS allows you to find that savings of money, but it could be labor, it could be missed bad shipments, lost inventory. All that counts up as a savings that you get from a WMS.
And savings means margin for the company, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep.
Which is great.
Right. Because when you're figuring out your margin, you have to put your labor costs, your overhead costs. So if you can reduce some of that overhead cost, you're going to make more margin.
Yeah, and something that it's important to understand also regarding the U.S. market, it's that people could return the product, request the money back, just because they want to.
Reverse logistics, we call that reverse logistics.
Yes.
That is a huge industry in itself, because the key to the customer is they need to get that product back. Yeah, they're offering free returns or returns, especially in a direct-to-consumer business. Also, if you're selling wholesale to a retailer, the retailer also can return product back. So they have agreements that at the end of a season they can send so much product back and they'll buy more for the next season. But the key is getting that product back into your warehouse and get it resellable as quick as possible. Because if it's sitting on the dock waiting to be received back in, you're losing money. So reverse logistics is a whole aspect in itself.
Yeah, it's another complete song.
Yeah,
right?
and our system has a whole return module to do reverse logistics and get the product back inspected. Because in the return side, obviously, if you're doing direct to consumer, that product can come back. If it's clothing, you may need to repackage it, you may need to relabel it, depending on what type of product it is. So you want to get that inventory inspected. Our system allows them to walk through a process where they have to scan each product to make sure it's the right one. Or if, say, somehow there was a factory issue or a misship, we can record what the real product was that came back, but also give the customer credit for what they're supposed to have bought.
Yeah, but that reverse logistic also give you a lot of insights to understand why the customer are returning the products and what we could do different, right?
Right. So some customers will ask the customer why they're returning it, like on a web return, and some have like return forms, and the customer fills that out. Well, our WMS allows them to take that form, and the return operator can actually. There's an inspection that the return operator does, but then there's also a return reason, so that we can try to record those reasons. So if something's too small or too big, and you see that there's a trend that you're having, a dozen returns that's all saying it's too big, maybe there was a sizing issue in the factory. Yeah. So reverse logistics does give insight on the production process.
It's an important. Okay, and moving next, I would like to ask you, who are the typical customer that we support, and how are their characteristics that they have to feed as a customer?
It's a good question. I'll answer it in a couple of different ways. I'll kind of give you an example of an actual customer that we had. Typically, a company maybe will start off selling maybe online, or they selling wholesale to department stores or mom and pop stores. And they're growing, they're small. They can handle their inventory. They maybe got it in their back room, or maybe have it in a garage when they're starting off, right? They can handle that. We had a company, planetshoes.com was the name of the company. And when I first started with them, their warehouse was small, but they kept all the shoes in order by alphabet. So it was easy to find, but when you got a new brand, a new company, they had to move everything around.
Yep.
But when it's small, it's easy. But as you start to grow, you realize that it's taking too long to find the product, pick the product, or maybe you're losing some of your product. So you're starting to see that your logistics is having some issues. That's typically where they start thinking, I need automation in my warehouse. And so we built PRIZM WMS to be a software that's full functioning, but can also be very easy to get going because it's web-based. A lot of older WMSs, you have to buy hardware, you have to install the software yourself, all that stuff. So with PRIZM WMS, we made it very configurable, web-based, so it's easy for smaller companies to get going. Because small companies losing money in their supply chain as well, right? So our system can handle a company that's getting to a point where their warehouse is just getting too big to manage with Excel spreadsheets or manual. But it's also so robust that we have some customers that have 5 million units of inventory in their warehouse. They're shipping, 20, 30,000 orders a day.
Yeah.
So it scales well as well because, again, being web-based, you can scale the back end of it. And because our system was built really for the big guys, it has all the functionality that it needs that the small guys can now take advantage of without having to pay a very big price for software.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we can support drop shipping, 3PL, and direct distribution as a model, right?
Yeah. Well, the third-party warehouse, those companies need the flexibility to also integrate with multiple systems because they are doing distribution for other companies. And so that company will come and they may have a different order management system than the last company. So that was also a key aspect of our WMS. It's all API based. So the input and the output of data can all be accessed through an API infrastructure. And so that allows us to be able to build integrations with any ERP that's out there. ERP, Enterprise Resource System, or Order Management System. And so with our API library, we can then build integrations into older ERPs that maybe are just doing CSV files, or we can integrate with ones that have an API library themselves, or EDI interchange. So there's different ways to be able to get the data in and out, but that was the other key too, is that to make the system flexible enough to be able to integrate for like a third-party warehouse. But then, like you said, we also do, the system can handle direct-to-consumer as well as wholesale shipping. With wholesale, you also have what we call pack and hold sometimes, so the retailer doesn't want the shipment to happen till the end of the month, but everyone wants it at the end of the month, so you can't pick it all at once, so we allow them to be able to pick, stage it, and be able to manage that shipping out there, because our system can also handle parcel shipment as well as truckload and what we call LTL, which is less than truckload. In the US, there's a big infrastructure with trucking, and so to be able to move freight around. And so a less than truckload is a freight company that will take a pallet, 2 pallets, 3 pallets of product and take possession of it at the warehouse and then bring it to the company's store or another company's warehouse. So that's for bigger orders. And then we actually have the parcel shipping, which is one 2-package shipments. And so the system can integrate with the parcel providers to print the parcel labels, but we also print a bill of ladings for truck shipments. So it can be flexible to handle bigger shipments, smaller shipments. So as a company grows, our system grows with them as well.
Yeah, that's great, because maybe it's something which is important to keep in mind that in the warehousing industry, warehouses start from level 1 to level 5.
Yes.
So level 1 warehouse are usually handled by papers or spreadsheets.
Excel spreadsheet. I've seen so many people have Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah, and once they start growing, warehouse arrives to level 2, which means that they usually have an ERP with a few WMS features. But usually ERP is more like enterprise resource planning.
But then it has like some basic warehousing features.
Yeah, some ERPs has features. And level 3 is when the warehouse already have real WMS features in the company. So they have cycle count, they have web management.
Right, they may need special labeling requirements, things like that.
Yeah. And maybe they handle different shipping providers.
Yep.
And they move to level 4 when they have more like robots or automations like conveyors, sorters.
Yes, right. And so with our WMS, because we have built it on modern technology, we have our API library that also allows us to integrate into all sorts of automated systems as well.
Yes, voice speaking.
Yes, voice to pick, even AI picking models,
Correct,
things that
correct.
we can do. But the big thing is interfacing with parcel providers to provide labels, but also integrating with the conveyor systems. We have a couple customers with conveyor systems as well. So normally with a conveyor, I always joke that a conveyor delivers dumb, right? They can set it up, but it doesn't know what to do until you make it smart. And so usually the WMS has all the instructions, but you need a warehouse control system that usually controls the conveyor. And we also build warehouse control systems for customers because those are sometimes unique because the conveyor systems can be very unique as well. And then basically we interface the warehouse management system with the warehouse control system. And the warehouse control system is usually what controls the automation. Or if you're doing a voice to pick, then when we create what we call waves of work, you're releasing work to the floor. That can then interface the voice to pick so that it's in line with it. And so automation, as you get bigger, like you said, a tier 4 warehouse, our system can handle automation. So some customers start off without automation and they add after the fact, and then we can add that automation.
Yeah, usually customers that run the operation with conveyor system and sorters, usually they have bigger warehouses, like 700,000
square feet, yeah.
square feet, right?
About 500,000 to 1 million square feet is where you start to see
it's
automation.
Yeah, because they usually move 20,000 shippings per day, or so are bigger.
You have to do the cost analysis. Is the cost of conveyor system worth the added productivity?
Yeah.
Because the bigger warehouses, what you get a lot is fatigue too. There's fatigue time.
Yeah,
because people walking so much and stuff. So.
Or even the cars.
Yeah,
even have the small cars to move between warehouses, and that's cost.
Yes.
And usually what they do is they pick the product from the stand and put in the conveyor, and the conveyor start moving the product from the routes and start deciding based in what the WMS said, what is the next route to arrive to the staging area.
Yeah.
Right?
Usually how the conveyors work, there's always going to be scanners. And so everything you put onto the conveyor needs to be barcoded. And that's the key, again, with a warehouse management system. We have all the barcoding technology. We can design custom barcodes and print the barcodes right out. And so when it gets on the conveyor, scanners will scan it, and then that message comes back to our warehouse control system, which then we tell the conveyor what to do with it. Like you said, there's different diversion points. So when they scan it, we kind of figure out where we want that box to go, and then we send the message to the conveyor system, and then it will divert it down that lane, and then it could get scanned again. We have some that have like three, 4 scanners as it moves along and deciding which way to go.
Yeah, that's here in Argentina. There is a famous warehouse from Mercado Libre, and sometimes you can view the conveyor working and the packages
just
rounding around for everyone. But yes, that's great. And just to move forward, what was one of the biggest, because our relationship start, you being our customer at movies and we being your supplier, and we allocate a dedicated squad for work and help you with
that final step of converting it off of the old legacy app.
And what was the reason to move forward from Delphi and SQL to a modern technology?
So it's funny because when I first started building the WMS was back in 2001. Then a few years later, I kind of got sidetracked and started doing e-commerce as well. So I built a complete e-commerce website, the full infrastructure, using PRIZM WMS to do the fulfillment. So I actually was using the software in a company that I built. So I kind of, for years, was doing that more. And then after we got that established, a lot of companies were coming to us saying, hey, I want to do what you're doing, right? So I started a new consulting company to help companies do the same things that we're doing. So that started building steam. And then I decided I wanted to do that full time. And then one of the existing customers that was using the WMS was like, hey, this would be great if we could, get some upgrades and this and that. And I said, well, if I'm going to upgrade the software, I might as well really upgrade the software and put it into modern technology. And so I had someone working with me, and we started building it, and then COVID hit. And then he decided that to leave, and COVID had a lot of problems, but it also created a lot of opportunities. So,
that's right.
And that's when I met you guys, and I said, hey, I'm about halfway done getting it converted onto a web-based platform, and I needed help, and I had the finances to hire you guys, and we got to the point where we got it completed. We retired the Delphi, and everything's running great, and I'm like, okay, now I got this really great product, but I just me. It was just me at that point. So that's when I approached you guys and said, hey, we're a good team. We did this really well, and I needed more infrastructure. And I could either sell the software to a company. I could, I couldn't hire anybody else more because I used all the funds I had to make it new. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, I can either just grow very, very slowly or try to partner with someone and really try to grow something. And that's when we talked, and 2 years later, we're...
And that was when PRIZM was born, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We decided to create PRIZM as a specialized logistics and supply chain company using the WMS as a core product.
Right, because there's a lot more, like you said, as a supply chain. WMS is just one piece of a supply chain.
Exactly, and now we are Movits and PRIZM are cousins, right?
Yes, yeah.
And we are running the operation.
And we've been growing so much faster the last 2 years because we got the right infrastructure now. We have sales, we have support, we have development, we have marketing.
Exactly, and it's great because also even we learn from the industry, from the product. So we have been learning a lot because we usually, as a software factory at Movit, we build different kind of products from different industries, from different scopes. But now this niche specialization is great because also we are running the operation in Puerto Rico, at the US, and coming soon we are going to start moving the product here in Latam and Argentina. And it's important to mention Alberto because Alberto was a key player.
Yeah, he was the key player. Yeah.
So Alberto is our partner, and he lives in Puerto Rico. And he was the first connection with Scott.
It was just a chance meeting. We had a friend of mine knew a friend of his, and we were at the same place at the same time, and I got introduced to him, and literally it was like 2 weeks after the other guy, the contractor I had working for me, decided to move on. So I'm like, okay.
What's at the right time, in the right place.
It was
right?
like it was meant to be. It was meant to be because, you said, right time, right place. And then 3 years later, it has been a great fit. But like you said, I've been working in distribution my entire career. 4 companies helping to build solutions. I've helped companies open warehouses, so I've done it all. So I kind of am the product expert, but then having the team that is IT expert together, it makes a good match because you guys don't need to go to the customers and ask a bunch of questions because we have the knowledge in-house, so I can train all you guys and get you guys all up to speed faster.
And to be honest, it's not a good idea to try to land in an industry without any knowledge or having an expert because to be honest, for me was usually people think that handle a warehouse, it's just pick some stuff, put in a car, some label. No, it's a completely...
Right, as you started learning, like, wow, there's a lot of aspects to it to make it correct. And the key though is also that day of the gathering because like you said, it's easy to maybe pick the product, but to keep track of all that movement so that if you're dealing with 10 pieces of inventory, it's easy to keep accurate. But when you're dealing with 5 million units,
completely crazy,
and moving 100 million units in a couple of years, getting that historical data can help solve problems as well. Because you can see, I'm missing this product, what happened to it? You can trace it along the way. So a lot of the customers love that part of it because they're able to resolve their issues themselves,
Yeah, I would like to mention something which is important because we are now in the key week
Oh.
for us. This is our key. This is our high season.
Yeah.
So now we start last Friday with the Black Friday. Now it's running the Cyber Monday and Cyber Week.
Yeah, now they're calling it Cyber Week. Before it was Cyber Monday, now it's Cyber
Week,
Yeah.
and it's important.
You usually get about 2 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, about 2-3 weeks for a shipping window.
Yes.
Because remember, e-commerce, you got to make sure it gets there before Christmas.
And I would like to ask, how many orders ship our biggest customer last Black Friday week?
Well, I'll tell you, this weekend just happened up till Sunday at midnight, from basically Friday at, Thursday at midnight, Friday morning, so 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they had 78,000 units.
That's crazy.
And almost 60,000 orders. So a lot of onesie-twosie orders. But
I remember last year was around...
And they shipped 43,000 out by Sunday night. So they worked over the weekend. So they got most of what was in there ready and out that weekend.
Yeah.
And then yesterday, I haven't looked at yesterday, but I know, looked at something, and there was like 16,000 orders being loaded at one point in time. So I think they made about 30,000 orders just yesterday.
Probably the week is going to be around 200.
Close, but maybe...
200,
yeah.
Maybe...
200,000, yeah.
Yeah, because last year was 151.
Yeah.
So 151,000 orders, which
Yeah.
is so. I remember that.
And this is just one of our customers. So
that's one customer.
This is one of them. the other ones have also been doing it, but this guy's obviously the big guy. But there's other ones that that are going to be shipping thousands and thousands of orders as well.
I think if you take the whole Black Friday in Argentina, you are not achieving that one customer.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I think based on some metrics that I got, so it's crazy. But well, we are running out of time. But I would like to ask what's next for PRIZM and what's next regarding AI agents and that
yes.
we are preparing. So we already have we are integrated with a tool for Luli AI for give some insights regarding how it's the behavior of the warehouse, but also we are creating our own agents.
Yes.
Which is I would like to.
So first with the Luli AI, that's another company that has built an AI agent that if you build in the AI agent the map of the warehouse. So when you pick, the system needs to know how to group picks together. So when a person goes out and walks around, they're walking in a path that is productive. In our WMS, you create the locations in a manner how you want to group different areas of the warehouse. And our WMS we don't know where the locations are per se, but we know by numbering scheme how to pick it. But knowing the actual layout of the warehouse, we may say that, well, this location is closer to this location. But in our WMS, I don't know that because I'm just building the location numbers. It's like zone, aisle, bay level position. But with the Luli AI, we're actually putting coordinates in where each location is. So then when I'm releasing a bunch of orders to be picked, and the system's trying to figure out the best pick path, I can only do so much with just knowing the numbering. But with Luli AI knowing the physical map, it can try to figure out better pick paths to get the picking faster. So that's an example of Luli. But what we're doing ourselves is, AI is a game changer, but you got to use it right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of failed AI stuff that's going to happen over the next few years. Just like any other new technology, you're scrambling it. But some of the things that we're looking at that will really help our users is like natural language inquiry. Like a WMS has a lot of data, right? All the scans, keeping track of things. So there's a lot of statistical information that people want out of it. And so we have some reporting capability where you have to know a little bit about where the data is stored and all that. But with an AI, we can literally have someone just type in a question. How many orders did I ship to California last week? right? And the system should be able to give you that data. And so those are the things we're working on to
Using
really
natural language.
natural language, yeah.
Convert. Yes. Also, we are working in Inventory Guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can tell us a little bit about how it's going to work, which kind of caring is taking.
Oops.
No. Hopefully, it's not a customer.
Yeah, right.
And we are working on a demand predictor too,
Yeah,
because we have a lot of transactional data
Yeah.
that using machine learning models, we can start doing some predictions.
Yeah.
And what usually happens with the data, because we have the whole story.
So again, bigger warehouses or warehouses that have a variety of product type. The key sometimes is where do you put that product, locate it to be able to pick best. There's a lot of factors that come into that. Frequency of how often that product's ordered, how many is ordered at a time, handling capabilities. Like sometimes product can only be picked with a certain type of equipment. And so understanding where to put that product in the warehouse based on predictable movement. How much did we order this product? Well, there's not much ordered. Well, maybe it's not going to be a high mover, so maybe it doesn't need to be in a high moving location. Things like that we'll be able to have AI help the people in the warehouse predict where to put the product, so that, again, reducing travel time to pick the product increases picks per minute, so it's a labor savings too. So having that predictability on the inventory side. Another big thing is some customers, when they picking products, they're building maybe pallets to ship to a customer, and they have product that's heavy and light. So again, when they're building that pallet, we don't want them to have to touch it twice, pick the product and then try to figure out how to build it so that the heavy stuff's on the bottom. We should be sending them to the locations in order to build the pallet from heavy to light, and things like that.
And based on your prediction, you can decide where to put the product in different moments in the year.
Yeah, exactly, because seasonality, things like that.
Seasonality allows you better decision. But, well, Scott, I really appreciate you having
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this for a long time. Obviously, you can tell there's a lot of... People think distribution is simple, but as you get into the more details, it gets really complex.
And for instance, the challenge that food customer facing are quite different with the apparel customers, so groceries customers.
Grocery, dry goods. But again, they all have the same thing. They can save money in the supply chain. And if you're trying to cut costs and give product cheaper, the key is trying to increase your margin. So to find how you can increase your margin without increasing your prices,
correct.
Automation in your supply chain.
That's great. That's great. So I really thank you for being here and have the opportunity to have this great podcast. It was really nice for talk about the challenges, and I think we are starting 2026 with a huge challenge. We are going to be running a big project with one of our customers moving to Acumatica, which is great for us because it's one of our key partners.
Acumatica is a great ERP system, and being able to plug the PRIZM WMS into that is really going to give this customer a lot more power to grow.
Exactly, and we are a good fit between the ERP's capabilities from Acumatica from our WMS.
It's actually a perfect fit.
So we expect to be, it's going to be our second customer running Acumatica and WMS, so we hope to start moving forward in that direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.